All right, welcome to 4's Enuff. I'm Tracy.
I'm AB4, and we're 4's Enuff podcast.
Yep.
What are we going to talk about today?
Wrestlers?
Let's talk about the fighter and the kids first.
Oh, fighter and the kids.
Yeah. There was a few episodes of 4's Enuff podcast where we were talking about the fighters and the kids. And we were talking about how much the show needed Brian Callen back.
Yes.
And they listened to us. They brought him back.
Sure.
And they did what we said do. They got rid of Mallet B. And now I feel kind of bad. I wish they really hadn't listened, you know.
I know.
Well, no, I'm kind of glad it's back though.
Me too.
Yeah.
The show's definitely been better.
It's way better.
Yeah.
It's actually something I can't wait to see when he's up there. Glad Chappelle stayed. The producers, you know, Kat, Chin, and that new little white boy. I can't think of his name. You actually didn't see the episode that has Shingami up there. Yeah, but I showed you about Shingami. You know, he's a fighter from Street Beefs. Check it out on YouTube. They're like a backyard fighting thing. They're actually legal. Their fights are exhibition fights. They don't pay the fighters. You don't have to pay to go watch it. I guess they just get paid for getting views on YouTube. But Shingami, he's a very big dude. He was a character with like a karate suit on, and his match went viral right when the match started. He kicked the guy right in the face.
And my first response was, wow, he's pretty flexible to be such a big guy.
Yeah.
Very flexible to be a big guy.
Yeah. But I could see him maybe doing some kind of other stuff just as a gimmick type match. But he's got some skills. Yep. All right, breaking news. Jake Paul versus
Tyron Woodley.
It's Tyron.
Tyron.
He don't like to be called Tyron.
Okay, Tyron.
But anyway, he's 39 years old. Lost his last 4. Definitely not in his prime. Still has knockout power. Less of a chin. Tracy, who you got?
I'm going with Tyron.
I just don't know. Jake Paul is not an idiot. If he didn't think he could win, he wouldn't take the fight.
Yeah, but he is on a high right now, and he is pumped up off of his own juice, I think. And I think Tyron is going to be too much of a veteran. Huh?
Tyron. Tyron Woodley. We're going to call him Tyrone from now on.
How about Woodley? I can say Woodley.
T. Wood.
T. Wood.
Yeah.
T. Woodley.
All right, but Jake Paul must think he's going to win or he wouldn't take the fight. I'm going to say Jake Paul gets him.
All right, we'll see.
We will see. And I know that fight is sometime in August. I'm sorry I don't have the exact date in front of us, but I tell you what, here's the date right here. All right, let's talk about the Paul brothers and Floyd Mayweather. Recently, we know that Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul has been in the works for a while, and it looks like it's finally going to go through. They've been doing some promotion. Speaking of that, did you see what Jake Paul did?
I did.
Yeah, he talking about got your hat, took Floyd Mayweather's hat and took off running with it.
Floyd Mayweather's hair was looking kind of rough underneath that hat. I'm pretty sure that's why he was mad.
Yeah, he's always been bald-headed, so and his beard would never grow in, and now he's got like a fake beard, it looks like. So I'm pretty sure his hair is fake, so he was probably a little sensitive about it. A lot of people thought maybe it was WWE style and they were putting it on. I think it was real. I think Jake Paul thought, well, you know, I'm going to get a viral moment here.
Yeah, he's definitely out there and daring and ready to do it.
Yeah, but who knows what's gonna happen on the fight? Most people think Mayweather's gonna dominate. I'm actually pulling for Logan Paul, and we'll see what happens. I bet what happens is he's gonna lose, and then Mayweather gets to fight Jake Paul next.
Mm-hmm.
But let's take a look at the video here with Chris D'Elia, and he's showing Mayweather and Paul, and then some other fighters talking about it.
Jake Paul's in his face like, fuck you, this and that, and Floyd Mayweather's like, fuck you, and everyone's around, and Jake Paul grabs Floyd Mayweather's hat and says, got your hat, and tucks it into his armpit, and Floyd...
Yeah, let's make it happen. Yes, sir. Get the paperwork on this ball. Get out here. Absolutely. Let me out here. Let me call out here. Let's make it happen. I'm my own boy. One night. Got your hat. Got your hat. Got your hat.
There's 9 guys on him, and it's hard for him to say.
Let's do it.
He's going,
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Yes, sir. Get the paperwork on this ball.
Get out here.
Absolutely. Let me out here.
Let me call out here.
I'm my own boy. I'm my own boy.
One night. Got your hat.
There are unwritten rules in this fight game. And when you're dealing with real fighters, and Jake Paul almost learned when he came by when Dylan Dennis was on My Food Truck Diary. If you haven't seen it, go watch it after this. Dylan Dennis was on here when Jake Paul was going to do those antics. You know, you're not messing with other YouTubers who are doing this stuff for that shock factor, that content, and goes viral. Real fighters don't play those games. There's a thing of respect.
A tweet from 50 Cent. Conor McGregor had a little bit to say.
To Jake Paul specifically, now I appreciate the fact that he snatched Mayweather's hat off him. That's right. Go ahead and get into it with a fight. Don't beat up a basketball player.
That was going on. There was like 8 guys around me, all grabbing me, like some like hitting me in the leg. I'm like holding onto his hat. I was holding onto his hat for dear life. I was like, no, I'm not letting go. And that was the main thing that they were like concerned about. They're like, give us the fucking hat, give us the hat. And I was like, no. And then finally they got the hat. And then, yeah, I just see this angry Floyd Mayweather. Like I couldn't believe it. And one of his security guards like had my shirt like wrapped around his hand, and so I couldn't get away. And he just comes running at me, and he's throwing punches like over this. I didn't think he was gonna get that mad over a hat. And
what? Remind me what you said to him, because you said a funny line when you grabbed it. It was like, got your hat. You said something to him.
I said, got your hat.
He's being a fucking silly goose, dude. I am a fucking Jake Paul fan.
I hope that has you hyped for June 6th, Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. What you think?
Got your hat!
Oh no, she didn't. Oh no.
All right, let's transition into some game playing.
Here are the rules to Can Tracy Name That Celebrity? Okay, she has 4 seconds to name each celebrity. If she gets it, she gets it. If she don't, she don't. During today's game, there will be 12 celebrities. Let's play.
All right, you record.
Tell me when.
Dr. Dre, Dr. Phil, Dr. Chin, Dr. Chan, Dr. Ching, Dr. Will. Oh shit. Dr. Majesty Rose, C.W. Anderson, Cyndi Lauper, Steve, Bert Kreischer, Tita Ortiz, yeah. The young Paul, Jake Paul. I think he's the young one. I can't keep him straight. That's it. Okay, so I missed Dr. Ken, I missed Dr. J, and I missed Steve Harvey.
Not many people know it, but my spouse is really good at blank. Not many people know it, but my spouse is really good at finding things. And I would say I was really good at basketball.
What's the question again?
Not many people know it, but my spouse is good at blank.
Not many people know it, but my spouse is very good at picking teams, statistics, all of that, drafting kind of information. Something that I'm good at that people may not know it. Holy moly, I have no idea.
What is your spouse's favorite podcast? I would say Tracy's favorite podcast, After Dark with Dr. Drew and Christina. She may not know the name of it. I would say my favorite podcast is Two Bears in One Cave. What is your spouse's favorite podcast?
Wow. I'm gonna go with Two Bears, One Cave. And my favorite podcast is probably Dr. Drew.
Is your partner a side, stomach, or back sleeper? I would say Tracy sleeps on her side. What do? I also sleep on my side. Is your spouse a stomach, side, or back sleeper?
Wow. You are... I'm gonna go with stomach the majority of the time. Kind of a side stomach thing. It's weird, but anyway, I am definitely a side sleeper. And rarely a back sleeper. Never a stomach sleeper.
These are the rules of Who Dat Dare. It is 2 celebrities mashed up together. You must name each celebrity.
Who Dat Dare? Snoop Dogg and
Mike Tyson. That might not be Snoop Dogg. I think it is Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
Oh, geez. Eminem and Toolman Tim Taylor.
That's the best one.
Mike Tyson and Campbell. I don't know. Ooh, that's Adam Sandler and Chandler. Oh, my geez. Dr. Phil and...
That's a tough one.
Al Sharpton.
Will Smith.
Oh.
Who was the other one you said you weren't sure about? Oh, Mike Tyson and Kim Kardashian.
Oh, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, those games were fun. Now let's get back to the podcast. We are about to look at some old pictures, some new pictures, some crazy pictures. We're going to react, talk, and have some fun.
Oh, jeez. Okay. First of all, I can't unsee that. And second of all, I can't unsee that. Joe, creepy, sleepy, pedo Joe.
The first thing we want to know is, do you know who that is? We know you know who it is, but do you know who it is? Say it.
Tila Tequila?
Yes.
Or whatever her name was?
Yes. That's
Okay.
the difference now.
Wow. Wow. Well, first, she's not wearing any makeup in the second picture. So, makeup does amazing things. But she's definitely aged. She's definitely matured in her body style and put on a little bit of weight, possibly. But I would love to see her now really made up. I bet she would be more appealing, more beautiful, more attractive.
Oh.
Oh. Okay, that was AB's 10-year-old year. And I know it was 10-year-old year because I see Parker Bunch in the background. And we were at the Wood Ducks baseball game, and Eastern Plumbing was able to run out on the field with the players. And I'm pretty sure that was probably the first baseman, and AB was running out with the first baseman of the Wood Ducks. I can't say nothing. Woo! Kim Kardashian's underwear. You know, when I look at that, I definitely see my butt. Woo! It's a big one.
Let's check out this video of Jose Canseco trying to catch a ball. What happened?
He didn't catch it.
He didn't catch it for sure.
No. He lost it.
He definitely lost it, but what
Thought he was
happened?
going to run into the wall.
The ball bounced off his head.
I gotta see it again.
Keep watching. Jose's most known for his steroid juice and his book talking about it. He was the first 40-40 guy ever in baseball, but this right here haunts him.
Hey. Stuff happens.
All right, let's talk about the Chris Weidman leg injury. First thing I want to point out is the irony of the whole injury. That's the same injury that Anderson Silva had, and it was against Chris Weidman. And another crazy point is Chris Weidman broke his against Uriah Hall, who was the last person that Anderson Silva fought.
Wow.
Yep, a lot of irony there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a tough road ahead of him. We'll see what happens with him.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, let's check out the video in slow motion.
Oh! That's the worst part. That's the worst part. That's the worst part.
It's like the stretchy man on The Flash.
Oh, gosh.
All right, as you saw, that was a horrible, horrible accident, if you want to call it an accident.
Yeah. Freak accident.
Yeah. We'll have a little report about that when he gets better, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a minute and play the game. Name that wrestler. Name that wrestler.
Andre the Giant.
Next.
Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Arn Anderson.
Next.
Rey Mysterio.
Next.
We saw him, I'm pretty sure. The Hurricane?
Next. Need a hint?
Hacksaw Jim, but that's not right.
AB has a new barber, but it's not this guy.
Yeah, I know he's the barber. I don't know. I can't think of it.
Brutus, the barber, beefcake.
All right, since we were talking wrestlers, let's talk about some high-volume pro wrestling.
Where the action is turned up. Okay, we're going to talk about some high-volume pro wrestling. That's the pro wrestling show that I used to put on with my buddy, Cole Cash D. We're going to get in and talk about our champions and all of the shows that we put on. Let's get into it. Dynamite Diva was the first, last, and only high-volume pro wrestling women's champion. She was a fan favorite. She always put on a good show, and we were very happy to have Dynamite Diva as our champion. The last HVPW Tag Team Champions were LeBron James. It was a tag team consisting of LeBron Cozon and James Ryan, together better known as LeBron James. These two guys were great champions for high volume. They had a lot of great matches that were electrifying. They were the champs. The Barbarian was our HVPW Old School Legends champion. The Barbarian fought many great wrestlers at High Volume Pro Wrestling. Wrestlers like C.W. Anderson, Scrapyard Dog, The Strode, Ming, Caprice Coleman, Mr. Anderson. The list goes on and on. The Barbarian was a workhorse of HVPW. The Barbarian is a true legend, and we were very happy to have him. Alright, our final HVPW heavyweight champion was the one and only C.W. Anderson. C.W.'s famous for being in ECW, the Extreme Championship Wrestling. You know, he's going by the Anderson name. He wrestles like an Anderson. He's a very good professional wrestler. Our first heavyweight champion was Zane Dawson, and our second was his twin brother, Dave Dawson. People CW wrestled at High Volume Pro Wrestling. He wrestled people like Zane and Dave Dawson, the Rock and Roll Express, the Barbarian, Adam Page, Steve Corino, Sean Cruz. The list went on and on. CW wrestled everybody because he always put on a good show. Alright, the poster on the bottom left that says Christian York at top, that was the very first ever wrestling match that we put on. At that time, when we started out, we were called High Velocity Pro Wrestling, not High Volume. Christian York is a somewhat famous professional wrestler. He's been all around. He's very good at his craft, and we were happy to have him as our first main event. He did a great job versus Jimmy Parker. They tore the house down. That was a great first show. Alright, you see that show on the bottom right there? That was also a pretty good show. But what I remember most about this show was hardly anybody showed up. That was the least amount of people we had at any of our shows. I mean, it was maybe 20. And the reason for the bad turnout is I did bad promotion. We had a few shows. Everything had been working. People had been coming. You know, we've been putting out signs, passing out flyers, Facebook. And for this show, all I did was put a little ad in the paper, did my Facebook stuff, and, well, nobody showed up. So I learned my lesson on that one. Alright, up there in the top left, a July 12th mega show. And man, that was a good show. We had Lodi, we had Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man, Valiant, C.W. Anderson, Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express, and Adam Page, who is now at AEW. And we really knew Adam was going to go places in this business. Up there at the top right, what I remember most about this show, Ricky Morton versus Zane Dawson, was Ricky Morton didn't show up. I mean, he did call out a few weeks before, so we had to find a replacement, and we got Lodi. And man, they had a great match. And the crazy thing about that match, the ring ropes broke. The middle ropes. It was crazy. But being the professional that Zane and Lodi were, they still worked right through it. Had a great match. Luckily, theirs was the main event, so after the ropes broke, we were done. Okay, here are 3 posters for 3 shows that we did. The one on the bottom right was actually just a very small, like a promotional show that we did for fun. We did it in front of Manning Buildings, right out there by the road, actually. I mean, people riding by could see the wrestling matches going on. Everyone would stop and just look, and everybody was confused. That was a funny time. The one on the bottom left there, that was one of our anniversary shows. That was a big show. We had a lot of good people on the card. As you see, Ivan Koloff, Caprice Coleman, C.W. Anderson, the Barbarian, Demolition Axe, Dynamite Diva, Cold Cash D. That was a great show. The show up there at the top, the poster at the top, what stands out about that is Ivan Koloff in the middle. But that was our second show ever. And we really wanted to book Ivan for this show. And we could not find out how to get up with Ivan. We couldn't find him on Facebook. None of our people knew his number. It was just hard to get a hold of him. And one day I was out playing basketball in Kinston. And on my way home, I was like, man, I sure am thirsty. I'm gonna swing by Bojangles and get a drink. Because usually that's what I'll do. I'll just stop by and get a fountain drink somewhere if I'm thirsty. But something in me said, man, let's go ahead and go inside Food Line right here. Let's go get a case of drinks so you'll have some at the house. And I usually don't do that, but I just had a feeling I needed to do that. Well, I walk into Food Line, and there's Ivan Koloff. He's signing autographs. He's helping out with his charity for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Well, I'm still young in the game at this time, and I'm kind of a mark still. I see Ivan, and I am kind of starstruck. But I strike up a conversation with him. I let him know we got a show going on in Kinston, and I get him in contact with Douglas, and from there, we had a good working relationship with Ivan. He helped us out a lot. He came to a lot of our shows, gave us good advice, and it was a sad time when he passed away. But yeah, that's what stands out most about that poster. Okay, this show was called Live with AB5. It was in our warehouse that we had at the time, and it was AB5's birthday party. He was turning 8, and his walkout music, he got to walk out to the ring. His walkout music was Once I Was 7 Years Old. He had all of his friends there. It was a great party, a great time. The guy you see there on the left, that is Cold Cassidy. He was the guy that helped me run High Volume Pro Wrestling. He was a great guy. He was my buddy, my friend. He recently passed away, and that's just the end of High Volume Pro Wrestling without him. But let's talk about that party we had. And he was Santa Claus at the party during the show. It was hilarious. It was a great time. Then you see Zane Dawson at the top, Seymour Snot on the right. Those guys were staples at High Volume Pro Wrestling at most of our shows, but they couldn't make it to the birthday party for this one, which was fine. And we knew that when we made the poster. We just wanted to make a good poster, and we had good pictures of those guys. But overall, the party was a success. They had like a Royal Rumble. A lot of bad guys coming out and talking to the kids. Man, the kids really loved it. What I remember about this show is the Rock and Roll Express were there. The Barbarian was there. And he actually signed over Little Guido's name on the poster. I wasn't about to tell him he done it. C.W. Anderson was there. Zane and Dave Dawson. It was a really fun show. Little Guido had a broken ankle. So he was just a manager. C.W. Anderson helped us get Little Guido.
Okay, AB, tell me about this show, Anniversary 2.
Alright, what I remember about Anniversary 2, C.W. Anderson versus Too Cold Scorpio. Ivan Koloff was there. Dynamite Diva was getting into some mixed tag action. I remember C.W. Anderson actually got hurt in his match. Too Cold Scorpio came off the top rope and landed on his head and knocked him out.
What do you remember about this show?
Thanks for asking, Tracy. What I remember about this show is Steve Corino was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. However, he couldn't make it that night, so C.W. Anderson accepted the award for him. I also remember it was the first night we ever had Mr. Anderson, as he teamed with Seymour Snot and Caprice Coleman to take on Team Sexy and The Barbarian.
All right, AB, what do you remember about Anniversary 4? I remember that Dee from Lex and Terry was there.
Yes, having Dee was awesome. It was also the first time we ever had George South. It was also the Hall of Fame induction of ECW legend Chilly Willy. Alright, this show, Holiday Payback, was our only show in Snow Hill at the National Guard Armory. Tracy, do you remember anything about this show?
This was a great show. We used it to celebrate little AB's birthday, and Santa Claus was there.
It wasn't actually his birthday party. It was just around the time of his birthday. I also remember Dave Dawson throwing Baron Bullard through the chairs in the stands. And as Tracy said, Chad was Santa Claus. Okay, Tracy, at this show we had Lizard Lick and you were working the door. What do you remember most about that show?
That place was packed out for Lizard Lick. Everybody came far and wide.
Also, we had Rock and Roll Express Ricky Morton. We had Caprice Coleman. Steve Carino took on C.W. Anderson. As well as twin brothers Zane and Dave Dawson going one-on-one for the HVPW title. Okay, what I remember most about this show. Dave Dawson was still the champion. We actually had some guests coming that weren't wrestlers. Majesty Rose came to the show as she sang the national anthem. The guy from Big Brother was supposed to come. His name was Donnie Thompson. He was their favorite player on Big Brother. He had some kind of knee injury and couldn't show. We had the faces of Fear, Barbarian, and Mean. And let me tell you a story about Mean. Backstage, I met him, I shook his hand, and now I see why everyone is terrified of Mean. Not that he's a mean guy, he's very nice. However, his hand felt like a cinder block. If he hit you with that hand, it's going to be getting like hit with a brick. C.W. Anderson was there again. Lodi was there again. Just another great night of pro wrestling. This was the wrestling show where the one and only Broken Matt Hardy was there. Also, we had HVPW regulars Zane Dawson. You can tell right here he's a beast. He was fighting Gunner, who, that's his name in TNA. Now he's in WWE and he's with Elias, and I don't even know what his name is. But Tracy, when Matt Hardy was there, tell us about it. Tell us about how many people were there. And
There were a lot of people there. I remember Marcus was there and he saw Matt Hardy. And years ago when Marcus was little, we took him to a wrestling show where he met Matt Hardy. And I think he had forgotten that he had met Matt Hardy. And he was gotten away with when he saw him at our show.
And I think one of the smart things Matt Hardy did at our show, if you notice when he was in the ring wrestling, he did his little twist of fate. That's all he did. He ran in and did that. But when he went out of the ring, he went into the crowd and all the kids were following him. And he went right to his merchandise table to try and sell stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty smart.
Yes, it was.
Yep. And of course, there was other great wrestlers there. Lodi, C.W. Anderson, the Barbarian. And I think this was a show where Ivan Koloff couldn't show up because he was sick. And then Lodi made the announcement he wasn't coming. But that was a very memorable night.
Yes.
I would say, maybe 400 people,
Probably.
at least 300.
Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people in that little gym.
Yeah.
I wonder what the fire code was or whatever, probably 150.
Yeah.
What I remember about this show is the Rock and Roll Express were there again. We also had Dave Dawson. We also had John Schuyler. We also had Caprice Coleman. And this was the first time we were going to have Cedric Alexander. However, some good news for Cedric, not so good news for us, was that he just signed with WWE. So we missed out on having Cedric at the show. Other than that, the show was awesome. It was great. I was a big fan of the Rock and Roll Express as a child. They were, those two guys and Ric Flair were everything. Okay, what I remember most about this show, Anderson versus Anderson. Man, it had the big fight feel. It was like you were at a Mike Tyson fight. It just felt like a very big event. Also, Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man, was there. He's been a few times to High Volume. The Barbarian was there again. But again, what stands out the most, Anderson versus Anderson had a big fight feel. All right, at this show, as you can see again, there's two posters. The reason there's two posters is we were trying to get Nikita Koloff and he couldn't come. He was booked. He lives in he lives in North Carolina somewhere and in California somewhere. He actually got back up with us afterwards and was gonna be home, and so we decided to book him also. So we just had a big super show with him, Tommy Dreamer, Ivan Koloff. The list goes on and on. It was a big Russian night. Dave Dawson defended the belt against Victor Romanov. He actually didn't have anything to do with Ivan and Nikita though. Our tag champs, they actually were had beaten the Rock and Roll Express the show before, and so they called out after they defended their titles. That was the match where Jordan left Robin Goffin in the ring and turned on him. You remember that? Kinda. But anyway, Nikita gets into the ring and he Russian sickles him. Do you not remember anything about Nikita? Didn't you meet him?
Honey, I just don't remember. I don't remember.
Well, do you remember
the door
Do you remember Nikita when you were little?
Yeah, but yeah.
What do you remember about him?
I don't know, honey. I want him to wrestle the way you were. I just don't know.
He was Russian, and now he speaks American. He wasn't really a Russian.
No, that was just part of his act.
Right. All right. In conclusion, we talked some wrestling.
And the fighter and the kid.
And we played some games.
Yep.
All right, but hey, don't forget, Friday, June the 4th, BKFC is back. The heavyweight championship's on the line. Joey Beltran versus Shoemaker. Who you got, Tracy?
I'm going with Joey Beltran.
How about Hector Lombard versus Joe Riggs.
Ooh, Joe Riggs.
How about Luis Palomano versus Tyler Goodjohn?
Probably Palomalo.
Yeah, I've seen him go toe to toe with Justin Gagey. Thiago Alves versus I'm sorry if I get his first name wrong, Yuli Diaz.
Thiago.
Okay, Yuli actually has the fastest knockout in BKFC history, and all of these matches are for titles. So if get that bare knuckle TV app, watch it up.
Yep.
Also, next time we're back on the podcast, we're going to talk about the Crystal Coast Wood Bat World Series, where AB and the tribe are going down there to the beach, July 15th through 18th.
Yes. Yes, I'm excited. Can't wait.
See you next time.
Like, subscribe, comment.